spine-tingling and heart-pounding, An American Werewolf in London is a movie that remains at the forefront as a horror classic. It's definitely one of the favorite horror movies that I've watched since I've started the channel. There's comedy elements, there's, relatable characters, just so well done. I'm so glad I finally watched it. Directed by John Landis, this movie has been entertaining horror movie fanatics since 1981 with its stunning mix of humor, horror, and romance. With its incredible special effects and terrifying storyline, it's no wonder this movie still remains a favorite among horror movie lovers. Today, we're delving into the depths of this groundbreaking film to unearth 10 spooky facts about the American Werewolf in London that will keep you howling. Number 10, the soundtrack. Bad Moon Rising by Creedence Clearwater Revival plays at the end of the movie, emphasizing the full moon theme throughout the film. Full moons, werewolves, obviously those are connected. The song Blue Moon was also a top pick for the creative team, which plays during the transformation sequence, and it was originally written in 1934 by Richard Rodgers and Lorenz Hart. The film's soundtrack features a mix of classic rock songs and was a commercial success, reached number 31 on the Billboard charts as well. In 1984, Michael Jackson released a music video for his hit song Thriller, which was heavily inspired by An American Werewolf in London. The music video plays homage to the transformation scene from the film and features makeup by Rick Baker himself. Unbeknownst to many, Landis faced rejections in his quest for moon-themed songs. Cat Stevens and Bob Dylan declined, citing religious beliefs and disbelief in werewolves, respectively. It's such a great component to the film, having these, moon-themed songs. Everything ties together so well, so creative, and so well done. And I love that kind of tongue-in-cheek, reference as, there's comedy involved as well, and just that everything was done so intentionally. Number 9, one of the most iconic scenes throughout the film, the transformation scene from man to wolf. It took, I've heard, 6 hours, 10 hours to set up. Incredibly lengthy amount of time just for one shot, basically, and the actual transformation in the film lasts just over 2 minutes. The special effects team had to perfect the sequence to make the transformation believable yet terrifying, and it's hard to talk about An American Werewolf in London without mentioning that iconic scene. I know when I saw it for the first time, it was incredible, and just thinking about the makeup and prosthetics and knowing that it wasn't CGI, knowing that it was all done practically given the time that it came out, was just, my appreciation for that scene just grew, because how time consuming it would be to prepare for a scene like that, and to have his hand change and the fur and his feet, and you see his back, everything, every little piece they took such great detail in. Created by makeup guru Rick Baker, this scene is often considered one of the greatest moments in horror movie history, and the transformation took over 6 months to create and involved numerous prosthetics and animatronics. The end result is a breathtaking and terrifying transformation that still holds up to this day. An American Werewolf in London was the first movie to ever show an on-screen werewolf transformation. Before this, werewolves were always shown in their full form. We never saw the process of them changing, so groundbreaking in so many ways. And then this film paved the way for future werewolf movies to set the standard for how werewolves should be portrayed on screen. It just adds a whole new level of terror because you're seeing this human being go from a human to a werewolf right in front of your eyes. Number 8, the pub scene. The pub in the scene is titled The Slaughtered Lamb and was shot on location at the Black Swan pub in Surrey, England. In the film's opening scene, the main characters stop at a pub called The Slaughtered Lamb, and the name of the pub is obviously a reference to a nursery rhyme about a lamb being slaughtered by a wolf, which obviously plays into the theme of werewolves throughout this film as well, and lambs going to the slaughter as we have our, innocent characters, going into this dangerous situation and turning into a werewolf. Number 7, the script. The original script was written by John Landis at just 19 years old. However, it was rewritten many times with many variations on the ending before being finally approved. An American Werewolf in London was shot on location in England, with many of the outdoor scenes taking place in London. There's, famous shots of them running around the city, and the film uses real locations and landmarks added to the movie's creepy atmosphere and helped create the sense of realism. Obviously, it's An American Werewolf in London, and it looks like New York. It's not really going to tie in not really going to be believable, and they had to film there. That's such a crucial part of the film. And apparently Landis sweet talked the police with a screening of the Blues Brothers to secure permission to film at Piccadilly Circus, which is a very busy, it's London, everything is, very, very busy, and a location that had been banned for filming for 15 years. I don't know what film had burned that location previously, but he was able to finally film there, and it's such an iconic scene. To secure the R rating, Landis toned down explicit content and edited out sequences deemed too intense, a decision he said he later regretted. The genesis of An American Werewolf in London traces back to Landis's teenage years in 1969, inspired by a particular burial ritual that he witnessed when he was in Yugoslavia. Amidst their pivotal roles, Landis and Baker made memorable cameos. Landis appeared as a man thrown through a window, while Baker assumed the role of a Nazi werewolf, etching their imprints on the film. I love it when directors make cameos. It's just such a cool little touch as well. The actress who played Nurse Alex in the movie was originally only meant to be a love interest with a brief role. However, her character's role expanded throughout the movie, playing an essential part in the storyline. She was just, made this character so much more, and, obviously there's romance involved, and I'm glad they gave her that screen time to explore that. The actor who played David in the film caught Landis's eye through his Dr. Pepper commercials, leading to a fateful conversation that transformed him into a werewolf. And Universal Studios wanted Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, the stars of the Blues Brothers, as leads. Landis, however, championed the casting for a relatively unknown, sealing the fate for David and Griffin Dunne. Number 5, a box office hit. Both a commercial and critical triumph, An American Werewolf in London grossed $62 million, securing its status as a quintessential horror classic alongside The Howling, another great werewolf movie. You can check out my reaction to that as well. Very different storyline, but obviously still werewolves are involved, but I just really liked both of them, and they came around the same time. I think The Howling is 82, something like that, and so well done as well. The movie's budget was $10 million, which was considered high at the time, and it has since become a cult classic and won numerous retrospective awards over the years. These included a Saturn Award for Best Horror Film, a Golden Reel Award for Best Sound Editing, and a Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation. Number 4, the makeup. The makeup this movie wouldn't be what it is today without Rick Baker and the makeup, and he did the special effects, and the makeup for the movie won an Oscar for Best Makeup at the 1982 Academy Awards. Baker's werewolf design was a work of genius, and his team created each werewolf costume by hand, which would be so time-consuming. This historic win marked the genesis of a category that has since become a staple in the Oscars. Definitely an underrated category, and it's not always one that makes it onto TV. It's usually something they do either during commercials or before the taping, but it's just such an important category, and I'm so glad Rick Baker helped put it on the map. Unusual in filmmaking, An American Werewolf in London was shot mostly in sequence, citing strategic scheduling to accommodate Baker's makeup work. The maestro behind the film's practical effects turned down an opportunity to work on Steven Spielberg's E.T. due to creative differences, and Baker's commitment to An American Werewolf in London stood unwavering. Number 3, that it's a horror comedy. That's a genre that can be tricky to get right. It can either be too campy and kind of falls more into the B-movie category, or it's just not funny at all. And the unique horror comedy genre of American Werewolf in London was new to the horror scene at the time and when it was first released, and I think it's just a perfect example of a horror comedy. It is definitely scary and definitely has its comedic elements between our two main characters and stemming from their friendship as well. Its success paved the way for future horror comedies and is still a classic example of the genre. Number 2, the unseen sequel. Director John Landis had toyed with an idea of a sequel for a long time, but never made his version of it to the screens. There is a sequel called An American Werewolf in Paris, which I haven't seen. Let me know in the comments if you think I should watch it. I'm usually pretty skeptical of sequels, especially coming off such a strong original film, and I believe it came out quite a bit later as well. While the writer's film and director John Landis was never involved with this follow-up, obviously they based it on the characters. And number 1, rewatching the movie, Fans of the movie recommend rewatching it to spot hidden clues and details missed the first time, which is just a sign of a really well done creative film that you're encouraging people to rewatch it repeatedly. And some of the more subtle clues included the use of red, white, and blue in each scene, representing the classic American theme, as it is an American werewolf in London and is often credited as one of the most influential horror movies of all time. The film's mix of horror and comedy was groundbreaking and inspired many future horror comedies, such as Shaun of the Dead and Zombieland, which are great as well. For many, An American Werewolf in London remains one of the greatest horror comedies ever made. Its unique storyline, iconic transformation scenes, and standout soundtrack still being talked about today. Thank you so much for watching this top 10 horror movie facts about An American Werewolf in London. So let me know in the comments, did you learn something new? Are there other facts that I missed that you enjoy about this film? You can definitely check out my reaction video to this as well. I really enjoyed it. Such a great film. So thank you so much for watching. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And check back often for more awesome content.